5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Our second series of the night between Geek and Adroit is, of course, MLP Dota and John X Fire. John, quick question before I ask you how you're feeling. How expensive are mangoes in your country?
Actually, pretty darn cheap. Surprising. We export it, so it's expensive for you guys, but pretty alright for us. Why?
What if I told you you can get mangoes, or the taste of mangoes, is at an even cheaper price? A can of Monster John, Mango Loco, real mango juice. Only costs a couple dollars. You don't need to go buy those mangoes and cut them up and get your hands dirty and get the pieces stuck in your teeth. Just have a can of Monster, and you'll be
energized. That's true. Absolutely will be. You know, no doubting that. I'm pretty perked up.
Next time I ask you a question to set up the ad, John, if you don't mind, could you just tell me it's really expensive, you know? It may help me. Anyway, forgetting about that, I know you're a big fan. I can see the body pillow in the background.
Of course.
I don't know how you sleep being that energized, John. It must be quite hard to actually fall asleep being that awake.
I don't sleep.
Thank you, John. Draft, or rather ban stage, has begun. Geek Fam versus Adroit. This should be a very intriguing matchup. And let me tell you why. Adroit, they've been looking pretty good, right? They're always kind of up and down, but I'd say they're always above average.
Oh, yeah.
Geek Fam, to me, are one of the more brilliant teams in SCA, or rather, a more brilliant up-and-coming team. Got some really big players there. You've got Cuckoo, Raven, of course. One of our favorites, Zephyr, always making those plays as the POS 4. They haven't been looking very flash during the Pro Series, let's be honest.
Yeah.
They haven't been looking amazing. But I have a weird feeling today we might see something special out of them, because I find when they've got their backs up against the wall is when the brilliance truly comes out for this team. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Definitely so. It's one of the things with Geek Fam is that they can't come out and really bring it to you when you least expect it. Usually when they're on the ropes like this, they are in the lower brackets. There's no room to breathe here. This is when they should shine. You know, all stakes are up there. They need to bring out that A game, and when they do, it's spectacular. But when they faced off against Adroit, first games of the Pro Series, I believe, among the first games of the Pro Series, Adroit did 2-0 them. So historically, at least from this league, Adroit does kind of have a leg up now. That was a patch ago, 2 patches ago, so a lot has changed, and we'll see whether or not Geek Fam has changed along with it.
Ember Spirit.
I don't know. Ooh. I don't like the opening for Geek Fam. Like, they go into a very strong support in the Pugna, but you gave the Ember away? They weren't listening to the interview we just had with FBZ? They don't know.
They must have missed out.
They must have missed out, because Ember is completely broken right now. Has been for a very long time, and the reason is it has so much utility. It just does everything. Way too broken of a hero. They follow up with the Nyx Assassin, but I must admit, I like where Geek Fam went straight after. They went into the Beastmaster. You've got the lockdown now for that Ember Spirit, but more importantly, that opening duo says we're going to push. We're not going to give you time to get online on that Ember. You better be ready to defend when we're knocking at your door, because we'll be knocking pretty darn soon.
For sure. I like this draft from Geek Fam, even though it is 50-50. Like, there are ways of really punching Adroit's opening here with that Ember Spirit. You've got the Beastmaster. The Roar is always going to be strong. In that sense, you're always going to be able to have a solid way to keep that Ember in his spot. So there's a lot of value in that Beast. As you mentioned, the Pugna and Beastmaster do give you a lot of push. I worry about certain things, though. Mainly that Adroit has set themselves up quite nicely with that Nyx pickup. So you have a way of counteracting every single thing that the Pugna wants to do. If he Nether Blasts, you want to stun him, just go up, press E. Spike Carapace is going to do the work for you. And you do have decent wave clear with that Ember Spirit. Those summons from the Beastmaster might be put in a bit of danger with that hero. Maybe not initially, but once you see that Maelstrom come out, it is fairly easy to melt that down. So you do have ways from Geek Fam and Adroit to kind of counteract this draft from each other. I think overall I would give a slight edge to Adroit, mainly because the Ember Spirit has just been that dominant. You do have a good response in the Beastmaster, but the Ember has just been completely wrecking face when it's been picked up.
Oh, Nature's Prophet now to come out from Adroit. I like the pickup. You know, one thing Nature's Prophet does like, John, is being able to use Nature's Wrath and having a lot of creeps around. It does get bonus damage straight after the ultimate as well. A bit of a global presence now from Adroit. You've got the Ember, you've got the Nyx Assassin, you've got the Nature's Prophet follow-up. Love the pickup. Geek Fam will respond with an Oracle. But this draft from Adroit is starting to concern me a little bit. For the sake of Geek Fam, to be honest with you, John, because it just looks like they're going to be able to go all over the map and just catch out whoever they feel like catching.
For sure. They've got all the capabilities just from the kits they have. As you mentioned, Nature's Prophet Ember just gives you a lot of presence across the map. Geek Fam with the Oracle pickup at least now have a really great way of sustaining heroes. You have the Pugna Oracle, so you get the False Promise off, you get the Drain off as well, and you're probably not going to be able to burst that hero down, Adroit. So you do have a way of saving those heroes now from Geek Fam. I would like to see what they do combine here with all the sustain. You want a frontliner that's going to be enjoying that prolonged life. We have seen a lot of Troll in conjunction with that Oracle and Pugna. That's something that could come out here for Geek Fam. That's going to be a good option for them. It's not banned out. I think something else to consider is maybe the Husker makes an appearance here. It's a bit of a wild card, but you have the Oracle already. No one's going to be banning it out at this point. It's an option for Geek Fam if they want it.
Another option, the Lycan, John, is hasn't been banned yet. Yeah, Beast Master Pugna, and you haven't banned Lycan. If you are, that scares me for Adroit. I think if Geek Fam do take Lycan, that is way too much to deal with. We've seen it so many times. No matter how much you have in wave clear, those heroes just keep running at you. They just don't stop. But who do you ban out, right? Like you said, you could choose the Husker if you're Geek Fam. You've only got one ban left if you're Adroit. You've got to make a choice. You still also have the option for a Troll Warlord. And we know that's also a great combination with the Oracle and also pushes very, very quickly. So who do you ban?
I mean, we'll find out from Adroit. They do go into the Phoenix next. This kind of, I mean, it works nicely with what you have from Adroit. It gives them some sustain. We know how much the Phoenix can get done. You don't have the best of ways to keep that hero in its place. Like, you have the Oracle Root for now, and you have the Beastmaster Roar, but you're not going to be expending that in the Phoenix. Obviously, the main target for that will be the Ember Spirit. So there should be some value here from Adroit. The Egg is going to be a bit of a risk. Beastmaster does have pretty decent right click. He has a nice aura as well. The Troll does come out for Geek Fam, so that does deal with a Phoenix, right? It works with that Oracle. We see this time and time and again. Oracle, Troll, just really solid. You have to really think about how you initiate, how you jump, how you jump the backline specifically. I think the Pugna is going to add so much more to that, Mike. Just life drain on top of that False Promise. How do you kill this guy?
I don't know. That's not my problem, that's Adroit's problem. They've got to figure that out. And I hope they do for their sake. They still have a fantastic draft in and of itself. We talked about that global presence. They're going to be able to really get aggressive by that 10-minute mark and start trying to make plays, especially once you see the Vendetta on the Nyx Assassin. That's when it's going to be scary for Geek Fam. Where is this Nyx? Who's he aiming for? Where's the Prophet? Does he have TP available right now? You know, it's scary. But Adroit, they get rid of the Husker. They don't want to have to deal with that pick, right? We don't want to get cheese today. I still believe if you are Geek Fam, it's a little bit greedy, but I do believe if you wanted to run the Troll mid, which does in fact work okay up against the Ember mid, if it is in fact an Ember mid, you could go the safe lane Lycan, and it would still work.
You could make that work. It is fairly greedy. I think that's something Adroit can look to punish. Like, you're not guaranteed to win that mid lane matchup against the Ember Spirit. He can just basically burn you down. For the most part, you can blind him, but can be a toss-up. Maybe if you got a couple of lucky roots, that's how you bully out the Ember. I'd actually say Adroit could be looking at the Lycan themselves. It would work out quite great with this draft. Geek Fam does have a solid root to keep that Lycan in place. I don't think, again, Lycan's the kind of hero to really care about that. You would be picking it into the Pugna, who would clear out those summons, but you already have Nature's Prophet to kind of combine to try to overwhelm that. So it could be a good pick for either side if one of them wanted to go that route. I think it's much more, there's much more space in a Droid's draft to let that happen compared to Geek Fam. I think Pearl mid is just way too greedy with how both teams play. You would want a mid laner that doesn't take as much farm and just kind of wins out that lane a bit more evenly. You do have the option for the Storm that's not banned out, but I wouldn't pick it into Nyx. You know, that's asking for trouble.
It certainly is. Also doesn't really like going up against the Ember mid. It's never fun up until you hit that 6 month. Geek Fam do have over a minute of time left to think about. They've got time. Great lineup already. Do they want more team fight? Do they want to just push? They go for a Lina. Okay. You do have some crazy burst potential there with the Pugna Decrepify, to be fair. Like, amping up that Laguna and the rest of the abilities never hurts. Not to mention with Fiery Soul John, she does attack very, very quick. Like, it's almost like having a second trolling your team, but Adroit, I love this. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hold on a minute, there's a Pugna. Why would you do this? But in terms of the PA versus Lina matchup, what's the Lina going to do if the PA jumps her? Especially once you have a BKB up. If the Pugna's not around, if the Pugna's not really ready with that Decrepify, this Lina won't be able to do anything. She's a sitting duck.
I would like to see Adroit kind of play around with his PA knowing about the weaknesses, right? You mentioned BKB. Natsumi needs a super fast BKB here. You talked about Pugna. It's not just that. Oracle. Disarm. That's it. Innate disarm on that Oracle. The Pugna as well with the Decrep that could go on the PA. This is something Adroit has to be conscious about. I do like this pick. You mentioned the burst potential is fantastic. You jump the Pugna, he's dead. You jump the Oracle, it'll take a little bit of time if he gets his spells off, but if you have a Bastard, then you could probably just kill him off as well. So it's an issue of timing. I think Adroit will have to prioritize that early BKB. They can't go too greedy with what we see from a lot of PAs going for the Desolator Battle Fury. Just not a viable option with how long it'll take. Beyond that, I think Geek Fam does have the right tools. You mentioned the Lina and the Pugna. Decrep is going to make it so much easier for Carl to find those early kills. So you have a lot of ways of dancing around here. I think I would give the edge now to Geek Fam's draft. I think they've set themselves up quite nicely. Adroit is making things harder for themselves with that last pick PA into Pugna Oracle. They can still make it work, but it's going to be a lot tougher than you'd expect.
Well, apparently, for the Lina anyway, her last game was 20-3. So Carl had a very nice last lane victory for Carl. It's really interesting. Like, I know a lot of people that are probably watching this. When I said I like the PA pickup, thought, what an idiot. Like, what's this guy talking about? It's just a trade-off, though, right? Like, even up against the troll, just having that natural inbuilt evasion would really, be quite nice with the PA. It's just going to be a matter of whether Adroit do give Natsumi the time to get the BKB up, I think. Right, because once you've got the BKB, things become a lot easier for Natsumi. You do still have the Decrepify on teammates to worry about, but perhaps they could find a way around it. Only time will tell.
Yeah, the key thing is beyond just those BKBs, I think you have to really look at Mac's progression. He's going to be the one buying the time on this Ember, so he has to win out that mid lane matchup. Linas don't necessarily lose out. We've seen that time and time and again. Still a very solid laner, so if Carl can exert that pressure, keep Mac evenly, Adroit will have some issues finding that space.
For some reason, we saw Zephyr pulling Roshan out of his pit. A bit early for that Zephyr though. Bot lane, nice Impel Raven. Getting blocked up by that tree, and it looks like Raven does go down. Bot, great micro from him. A very early first blood for Mac, and if there's one hero you don't want to give a first blood over to, it's the mid Ember.
for sure. Like, this is going to give him so much more in his first courier usage. He's going to have a lot of regen on hand. So Carl, even if he harasses Mac out of his mind, Mac's not going to be under too much pressure. He has a lot more leeway to bleed out in this lane.
Still, Carl is really going to try and focus to get as much harass as possible before you get those levels up in Flame Guard. Mac has been forced to go level 1 chains to get the first blood, which makes it a little bit awkward for him. He can't really use that sleight of fist to harass back. So Carl should be able to find himself a decent advantage. For now, at least, anyway. Like, as levels go up, of course, Mac will be a real nuisance. Carl so far, great job. 6 and 3 on the lead up. Mac can't really even get close. He's already burning through so many tangos here. Of course, we'll have a look at the top lane for a second. Natsumi is going to be there with CML. They'll be up against Cuckoo's Beastmaster and Zephyr on the PA. Oh, sorry, not the PA, the Pugna. And this is a bit of a rough lane for the PA, John. She doesn't enjoy going up against the Beastmaster. And on top of that, when you've got Zephyr to decrepify every time she tries to go in for a last hit, it does become even more frustrating.
It's a very challenging lane for that PA. She can play around with that dagger toss. That's really going to be it. At the very least, Zephyr is still at level 1, so you're not going to be seeing the decrep spam just yet, which does give a little bit more breathing room to Natsumi, although they've caught a lot of damage just from exchanging with the Beastmaster Boris and a couple of Nether Blasts early on, although CML has done a fantastic job of kind of spacing Zephyr out just a bit more.
Of course, bot lane, the one we haven't talked about yet. Bok is going to be there on the Nature's Prophet. Up against Raven, you'll see Boomy there on the Nyx Assassin, just rotating around. And of course, Whiteman on the Oracle. Going to be there as the Pugna top lane falling very low. Zephyr, he might tick out to that fire damage from the Phoenix. And yeah, he does. Zephyr does overextend a little bit, trying to go after Natsumi, I believe. And he does pay for it.
We actually see Zephyr go for the Nether Ward on his level 2 as well, so you're not seeing the decrep coming into play. I guess that's fair. CML is actually just focusing down at Pugna, not really focusing on trying to slow Cuckoo, but ensuring that Zephyr is not around to mess up the last hits of Natsumi, and that is causing issues here for Zephyr very early on.
I guess another ward as well, like, can be a little bit frustrating for Natsumi, right? Because you're constantly throwing out the dagger to secure CS, but just losing mana as you go and, you know, getting zapped every time you try to throw a dagger can't be fun for Natsumi.
Definitely isn't.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Look back at that mid lane. Carl is really having a good time, John. I mean, 22 and 10. He's doubled the last hits of Mac for now on this Ember, and it is not getting easier. Carl is really not backing off. His position is just perfect. Every time Mac comes in for a last hit, he gets punished.
Yeah, I like seeing this coming out from Carl. Mac is struggling so much in this lane. It's surprising that Adroit is just letting this happen. They're not throwing any supports down. They're not having perhaps Bok to try to come in and isolate. Although Carl hasn't really overextended, but even with that first blood, Mac is so far behind now, it feels like probably level 1 change just doesn't feel worthwhile if it led to this bad of a bleeding start.
Oh, he got very unlucky as well. They're going to try and steal the rune away from Carl, but no, he finds it. He gets the illusion rune, gives him the bird, and that is just so unlucky for Matt. Like, you've rotated Bok over to secure the power rune up top, they rotated the Nyx Assassin to try and secure it if it was bot, and even then, with 3 heroes trying to get the power rune, Carl finds it anyway.
Very, very good move from him. Unfortunate for Adroit, just a bit too slow on that teleport from Bok. It looked like he didn't actually want to commit it early on. Like, they waited a bit too long in that TP. This is just going to make the presence for Mac a bit harder. He's going to have to dip into his jungle camps much earlier on. That's the only way for him to really bounce back in this lane. You wouldn't want to be here once Carl is 6. It's just going to burn you down.
He's about to hit that 6. He's about to outscale Mac by 2 levels. And yep, there's Laguna, up and ready to go. You have level 2 Flame Guard, which is some decent damage block, but maybe not enough. Top lane, however, looks like the Phoenix may drop, though Zephyr does miss the Nether Blast. And so CML does walk away with his life intact. Cuckoo was also falling very, very low, but he'll survive. His mid lane Mac is now getting jumped on by Carl, who did commit the Laguna. Still Boomy will rotate and drain the mana as he misses the impale, but it won't matter. The chains does connect onto Carl. And underneath the T1 tower, he does get taken out.
That's a really deep dive from Carl. Like, he is strong, but the response from Adroit was on time this time. They managed to find that kill, punish that movement, does give Mac a lot more to work with. That is freeing up that bot lane, and you take a look at Raven, 44 last hits on this troll, an entirely free lane. Compare that to Adroit's PA at 29, not even close.
Certainly not. So mid lane Mac again going to get jumped as Zephyr rotates in. No Decrepify really slowing down now. Bot will rotate with CML. Zephyr has also overextended, and I think Geek Fam may have forgotten Adroit does have a pretty global draft.
It does look that way. Like, they haven't been factoring these rotations from Adroit in response. Yeah, Adroit's the kind of team that would just TP heroes down, even if they're just finding support kills. They still find that worthwhile. They have managed to punch that quite well. But 0-4, Geek Fam is still leading by 2k. So I don't think they're going to be too worried at 6.5 minutes in. 2k is a pretty good amount.
It is pretty solid. They're going to try and forcing in towers now. Looks like bot lane going to be harassed a little bit by Raven. Impale out from Booney, but it's only a level 1 Impale. It's not really going to do too much. Raven just having such a nice time on the Troll Warlord. Just not suffering whatsoever. Looking up top, Natsumi is just dancing around in circles right now. On the PA, trying to find farm, but it's so hard up against a Beastmaster. It's just impossible, because every time you get close, the balls just hit you, and they hit so hard.
Oh.
That Glory's going to come out, straight on that Nyx Assassin. They want to try and get Boomy, but Spike Raptors comes in and a very nice impale, but Purifying Flame from Whiteman, who was there on the Oracle, and now Zephyr, he does go down, but Cuckoo's going to find a secondary. He's kind of surrounded, but no Natsumi has to blink out of there. It's a 1-for-2 trade. Adroit do get punished heavily by Cuckoo.
It's a really good start for Geek Fam. They're just finding all these big kills. Again, Adroit is willing to TP out. That doesn't mean the trades are always going to be favorable. They drop Bok. They're definitely not a worthwhile trip to the top lane. And that just gives Cuckoo a lot more to play with. He's pressured out a lot of heroes to the top lane. Very good use of that first Primal Roar. You see CML is hanging out here. Well, back to hanging out here. You already dragged out the Nyx up there. You've dragged out the NP. This time around, Geek Fam is going to be keeping the 3 heroes up. They look to set up to try applying pressure on that tier 1.
They will. Of course, mid lane Mac, he misses the chains on K. Boomy needed that chain set up to get the Impale off, and perhaps they could have gone for a kill attempt, but Carl is not giving him that. Zephyr was rotating in on the Pugna just in case. That's a very lucky drop to get when you're a mid laner, John. Finding the Ocean Heart, always very, very nice.
Is under attack.
Carl has been very lucky so far this game. In fact, he finds an Arcane Rune as well.
Oh,
well, that's alright. Why not?
All the things you could ask for going out here for Carl. Just giving him a lot more, and Adroit just can't find anything. 3k disadvantage now, 9 minutes in. It has just been steadily growing. You actually do see, again, just free farm all around for Geek Fam's laners. Raven actually going to the top lane now. They really want to take this tier 1, and it should be fast with the army that Cuckoo does have.
Well, I guess this is the one of the points of the Geek Fam draft. You have to push. Don't give time for Adroit to get Natsumi up and running. You've got so many cores on the side of Adroit that are just stronger in the later stages of the game, including that Ember and Nature's Prophet. So your best bet if you are Geek Fam is just to take map control ASAP, and Geek Fam will find that tier 1 top. And nothing will be traded for it so far. Adroit, they are starting to posture around the tier 1, and it looks like they will go ahead and start to take it. Geek Fam, do you try and pressure the top tier 2? Looks like Raven will.
Dire's top tower is under
That's a fair trade. They can do a decent amount of damage to that tier 2. The bot, tier 1, is pretty much a dead lane. They don't really have anyone around. They do find a kill, but that is just separate, you know. It's a support level 4 Pugna for good damage on the top tier 2. You're not going to be too pressured from that as Geek Fam.
Never refuse gold given.
Cuckoo's starting to get to that scary point with the Beastmaster now. You've got the Helm of the Dominator. He'll probably go for the Necro Book very, very soon. And this is going to push, really starts to get quite scary if you are a droid as Mac. Pretty far forward, but he did have a remnant and will get out. But with that, Geek fan would love to get this T1 mid. Mac is going to be popping that DD to try and defend. You'll see Boomy coming in, Wyvern meanwhile finds CNO, and now it double chains. The Impale is on Carl, so Carl is dead on the Lena. They found the T1 tower, however, and that's really all they wanted. In fact, Cuckoo, do you want a roar? He doesn't actually have it. He committed it on the Phoenix. So a 1-for-1 trade in the end. Geek fam got what they came for, but I'm not sure if you're too happy losing the laner in the process.
You're really not, but at the same time, you did take the tier 1 mid. I'd call that even. That does give Geek fam the map control they were looking for. This does mean that Raven can just slip and play around his top jungle as he has. Much safer than he was a while ago. So just a lot more leeway here for where Geek fam can be on the map. And just less space for Adroit to play catch up with Natsumi. Natsumi not quite close to that Desolator. Close to the first Mithril Hammer. Then it's still going to be some time till the next one. You would like to see Adroit play a lot more with her Nyx at level 7. They do smoke up, so perhaps they'll try to find something.
Jumps. Mac should be a very easy kill for the Ember Spirit. He does get it. That'll make it a 3-8 now. 4k net worth lead still for Geek fam. Adroit only interested in going for kills and buying space for Natsumi. Natsumi getting close to picking up that first Mithril Hammer. But on the other end of things, Raven's getting very, very close to picking up the full Diffusal. You also have the Yules up onto Carl, so he has some very, very easy LSA setup. I think if you're Geek fan, like you definitely want to still try and be aggressive. You've got Cuckoo with the Primal Roar available. I think there's never a better time than right now. But Cuckoo may actually get jumped. Boomy is rotating on the Nyx Assassin.
Scanning.
He does get scanned out. They could try and turn this. Sentry to be dropped. Boomy, good game sense to just remove himself from that scenario. And he will also run into Zephyr, who doesn't know if he's still around right now. They have no vision. Boomy's still waiting. He's not going for this. He knows there may be more heroes. And he was right to think that. He does hide, TP up. And that is really good game sense from Boomy, just to realize something was awry.
Yeah, he doesn't manage to... he doesn't waste his life there. He does give some information to his team as well, and kind of forcing Geek fam to waste a ward because of that scan. So they waste a little bit of time, but Geek fam does smoke up. I don't think that was under an observer ward, so there is some leeway here for Geek fam to try to find something.
They're running forward, Cuckoo, Primal Roar available. They love to get Mac. That's the one target you want right now. They get in range. Primal Roar is out. Remnants are available. He can get them off fast enough, but he definitely can't. Raven just popped the battle trance. He was not risking anything. And he will find another great kill on the troll.
It's probably the most important target for Geek fam right now as well. Mainly because he's the one that should be buying space for Natsumi. We talked about the timing of the PA, even with that Desolator up, that's not fighting shape. You know, fighting shape is Desolator plus BKB minimum, and that's going to take a lot more farm for a hero like the PA. It's down to the Ember Spirit of Adroit to try to get that space, so finding Mac is really good punishment here from Geek fam.
Boomy, very deep. He's underneath the Sentry Ward right now. Can you initiate the Raven? Just waiting, but again, Boomy believes something's wrong. No, in fact he does. He goes back in. Mac is behind him. Geek fam being so patient, hoping Boomy comes back into that Sentry Ward range. They will not be able to find that Nyx Assassin.
I mean, he's still kind of wasting the time of Geek fam, so that is space for Natsumi. on the bright side for Adroit. Not like Geek Fam's not forcing out this position where they are stronger, where the BKBs aren't available on Adroit. You know, Carl hasn't quite found a kill with his Yules just yet, so this downtime is benefiting Adroit.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Getting caught out. Mac will claim another kill on the Ember. That'll make him 4-1. And not the greatest positioning there from Zephyr. I mean, you kind of just saw the Nyx Assassin around the area. That should have been enough for him to stay back, but he does not. It does cost him.
Yeah, nice little pickoff for Adroit. That does give charges to Mac on his urn. In fact, looks like he is inching closer towards that. Spirit Vessel really key up against Geek Fam's draft. They've got that Oracle, they've got the Life Drain on Zephyr, so that upgrade is very important to try to slow down his pace.
He scouts out the Roshan now. Oh, this is just perfect. They've got no sentry wards around. Wyvern's holding one, but he hasn't placed it yet. Now he does. They'll know Boomy saw him. But he's already given as much vision as possible. Boomy is still dancing around, kind of baiting them out. He knows they know. The ball hits him now, so it's very obvious. Spy Carapace will be dead. Cuckoo cops a lot of damage from that dagger from the PA. Life Drain to help him out, but they've lost the dominating creep. That's 200 gold to block. And Roshan is going to sit there at less than half HP. They're going to try again, but now there's a sentry ward on the other side of things, just out of range for Adroit. They won't actually find the sentry of Geek Fam. But regardless, you forced them out. And now you're in this very awkward scenario if you are Geek Fam, where you know how low the Roshan is, but you can't really afford to risk going back in.
It's a tough spot for Geek Fam. They do smoke up, so they want to make use of this time to still find something. Are they just going to walk? No, they're not going to go walk in the Rosh. They're going to try to hunt.
Well, there's a Treant in the Roshan pit. Carl sees the Treant, won't attack, of course. Geek Fam going to rotate around, and they find a target. Boomy is still Vendetta. They can't find him, and everybody else has left the building. So now they must assume the Roshan's safe. They will go. This could be the play. There are teams coming out. Adroit, are you aware this is happening? Apparently, maybe not. They are starting to rotate over Mac, but he needs to hurry up. In fact, he may not even go in as Cuckoo is there with the primal roll on this Roshan. Billy is coming back. Mac now realizes Ghost is untamed. That's Carl going low, and he does get the ace, and it's time to run out of there. And so they do successfully manage to sneak it away from the side of Adroit. Some interesting mind games from both teams to try and avoid that Roshan going down for the other side, but Geek Fam does eventually win out.
That's going to be a huge spike for Geek Fam as well. They don't quite have the burst to deal with 2 lives on Raven. He doesn't have anything like a BKB yet to give him a lot more durability in that second life, but the burst damage is still kind of lacking from Adroit. They do have the Desolator up in Natsumi, building into the BKB. So once that BKB is up, Adroit's in a much better position. This is still a wide window for Geek Fam. I would like to see them to find a successful kill. We haven't seen Natsumi punished any time really. Hasn't died, so from that laning phase just had a lot of leeway, just a lot of pressure, but no real deaths, and that is going to cost him. You are seeing the split push effect from Bok as well. So he's starting to melt towers across.
Carl knew the PA was around, but the blur, he wasn't close enough for the blur to come off from Natsumi, so he doesn't get the Yules off. Really unfortunate as Natsumi was basically alone in his own jungle. Now they go straight mid, they have the Desolator, so it's quite fast, but instead it looks like Boomy is trying to set up a kill onto Zephyr, and the Pugna, well, he's almost dead, but the Credify will save his life. Now the Life Drain Primal Roar from Cuckoo, they come in onto Mac, LSA lands, Mac is falling low, the egg will be committed, but you've lost your Ember. Can you still fight this? The egg is also going to die in time. Boomy is trying to run out of there, but it will be to no good, as Geek Fam find 3. It was really all off the back of Cuckoo's primal rule.
yeah, that just gave them every single thing they needed. They just need to lock down Mac. That's enough for Adroit to fall apart. They were forced to kind of egg in a bit of an awkward situation. They couldn't really get the stun setups from Boomy to really give themselves some breathing space as well. And Natsumi, without a BKB, just has to back out. So a lot of things not lining up for Adroit. Geek Fam still exploiting that weakness in this draft. And Adroit has to be very careful about how they take these fights. Yeah, Mac is pretty darn strong, but he has no defensive tools to block that roar from Cuckoo. So every single time that's up, and it's not a very long cooldown, all things considered.
He gets a courier, but it's not worth your life like this.
Burns, doesn't it?
And Cuckoo, great bird, or hawk I should say, just sitting on the cliff, keeping vision. Bok is, I don't know, it's nice to go for a courier here and there, but not if you're going to die as a +3 prophet.
Dire's middle tower.
It's really not worthwhile trade, and this will allow Geek Fam to take a tier 2, so just a little slip up like that will put your towers under threat. They do manage to waste a fortify, but new creep wave comes in. Gonna be straightforward push.
Raven going to start forcing that tier 2. Like you said, straightforward. Sunray makes it a little bit difficult, but we'll be fine. Had Battle Trance anyway, and the mages. That'll be yet another tier 2 tower going down. Or rather, the first one of the game going down. You know, for Adroit, like, yes, you're still waiting on the BKB from Natsumi, but this is not really panning out how they would have liked. If this keeps up, Geek Fam could potentially finish the game in the next 10 minutes. Even with that BKB on the PA, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough at this rate.
There's just counterplay potential from Geek Fam. Decrep on the target PA jumps, even with that BKB, you know, as long as the target PA is jumping on, she can't attack anyway. So you still have that going out here for Geek Fam. Adroit has to finish that BKB, and I'd say one more item on Mac. He is going for the Maelstrom. I think you want the Lincoln's up, just to block that Beastmaster's initial roar. There is a smoke out from Geek Fam. They are still trying to apply that pressure with everything they have.
I thought Carl had a haste room for a second. Turns out he's just casually running at 550 movement speed with smoke, and 520 without it. In fact, no, it is 550 with Shadowblade now. Thing is with Carl, he did kind of break his own team smoke. Mac will TP up within safety, so they're not going to catch anyone out here. But with that TP, you'd be feeling pretty safe to just try and go for this top tier 2 tower. Odds are Adroit aren't going to try and defend anyway, because they're just not ready.
Come.
Oh, they definitely aren't. It's down to Geek Fam to apply that pressure. They've grouped up all their heroes, and Adroit does have ways of maybe fighting this. They've got the egg back up. It's a level 1 egg. At 23 minutes in, it's not going to be lasting too long, so you have to be careful about where to commit it. And Geek Fam, with the Aegis still up, are just, well, the Aegis is gone, but they still are quite strong to just take this tier 3.
Yeah, they've got an Aegis. Oh, in fact, never mind. Sorry, it did go, but they are very strong. Battle Trance was available. Raven, he doesn't want to deal with it. He's fine. That'll be enough. Although maybe with the BKB, he's feeling a little bit more confident. Perhaps if they could find a pick-off first, that would be the best way to get that done. Though he says no.
Oh, bonk.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, so you can't.
What's he doing?
What was he doing, John? I didn't quite spot him out.
I think he went for a warding run. That's the only reasonable thing I can see. Maybe farming?
He did force out the bot lane, which is great. Like, you forced Carl back. I guess sometimes you just have to tank the death to split push. But generally it's a support doing that, not a position 3 most prophet.
No. They do need a space though, so I can see the value in Bok kind of getting that done. Natsumi does manage to finish farm the BKB. This is when Adroit can kind of breathe a bit better. They do smoke up immediately, trying to make this item reveal as explosive as possible.
See how it works out. Smoked up, ready to go. They run through the mid lane. Raven would be a great target if they can just keep him stunned up before that battle trance pops. How do you initiate though? You don't really have a great stun apart from Boomy. You're gonna really run around the map here trying to find the perfect way to initiate, and they just don't get there. They kind of avoid the team fight. And so instead they end up on the opposite side of the map. So does Geek Fam. Tier 3 items are available, so both teams could opt to just go for those first anyway.
It's a bit of a safer bet to just wait for a couple of those to come out. You'll take a look at Mac, just about to finish that Maelstrom on the Ember. That should give him a little bit more presence in these team fights. But you're still playing at an 8k deficit. So even if these item spikes are coming out for Adroit, Geek Fam is still, by every metric, ahead. They've got control on the map. They've got all the items they want. They've got a good advantage. They just need to probably take this tier 2 down bot, and then the map's just going to shrink that much more for Adroit.
Well, bottom tier 2 tower, very easily taken. No contest. Looks like they may just wait for Raven to finish off what's to be a Sergeant Yasha on the Troll. And he does have the Sarge coming on the Courier now. So perhaps after that they look to go high ground again, or maybe they just go straight for the Roshan pit. But that'll be another 2.5 minutes. Still a while to go for that Roshan. Adroit are at least forcing in that top tier 2 tower. So you will have someone from the side of Geek Fam probably coming to defend that.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
No, they're going to smoke up. They want to fight. If they didn't win a team fight right now, high ground is as easy as Larry, and they're going to try. They're going to move up top.
Illusion. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Zephyr's actually got a very nice, well, he did have a quickening charm. They give it over to Wyman, so now you've got a much lower cooldowns on the Oracle. CML gonna get caught by Raven using the Spider Legs, and keep you away.
Oh, man.
People just say no. I'll shout at you.
Not the pickup you're looking for, I'm sure, but this is still something for Geek Fam. You're not gonna have that Phoenix around to at least depush a lane. Adroit not going to be too upset about just losing their pause 5 in this case. So they've got some breathing room to just keep farming up. You still haven't seen that BKB used. You know, we talk about the timing of that first BKB usage. You want it to be as quick as possible from buying. That hasn't come out yet for Natsumi, and that does kind of take away. Like, you could have been farming for something to quicken up your farm if you're not going to be popping that BKB anyway. So it is a bit of a sink in that sense for Adroit.
Geek Fam taking it slow. 8k net worth lead, just biding their time. Raven may actually wait for a further item, MKB coming out, and once he's got that, there's no way for the Blur Evasion to really do anything. Meanwhile, Natsumi will be trying to go after a Sergeant Yasha. Interesting choice. Not sure how that's really going to work out for it.
Radiant's middle
But
tower is under
it's
attack.
definitely an interesting choice. It's mid lane, there may be an engagement. Cuckoo trying to find somebody. Walk to scout out. Does have a haste rune if he does spot out someone he really wants, but looks like they are just going to take it easy and defend the Roshan pit, which is up in 5 seconds. So they're going to walk in. Do they stick around long enough? No, go back in, boys, because it is there. Cuckoo says, I'll watch the Roshan respawn. And there we go.
Do you know that
What do you
SNY
think about
build-up? Sorry?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. What do you think about the SNY?
I think it's okay. Yeah, I think the value is in disassembling to a halberd and a man style down the line. Look at that Roche melt. My god. It's gone. Just like that. What was that? I believe that's Aegis and Cheese. Should be. That was like 10 seconds of attacking. Just like in a snap. Adroit can't even do anything. So, a lot more for Geek Fam to play around with, and that's a lot more for Adroit to worry about. We still haven't seen them maximize this PA with a BKB. And at this rate, I don't think they're going to find that opportunity. Geek Fam has just managed to dance around them on the map. They haven't been able to really scout out too well with Boomy. He's saving up for his Ags on the Nyx. That should give them a lot of utility in the high ground defense. But it's not a very fast progress for a support Nyx.
Yeah, is he going to have time? That's the real question here. Like, he still needs about 2.5k gold, and that's assuming he doesn't save buyback. Zephyr, going to get caught up by Boomy, but you don't have the kill off potential. Maybe you do, Matt. He comes in. Zephyr will use the Guardian Greaves. He gets away.
That's
okay.
That's a pos 4, pos 5, pos 4. Hogna with just Guardian Greaves that you can't clean up. That's not against.
Well, like, it's not good news, that's for sure.
I mean, yeah, like he can regen up, but that's still not great news. You know, that this means the high ground push should be fairly easy for Geek Fam if they play their cards right.
Well, nice Sun Ray, but he doesn't really get it on Raven long enough. Soul Crest, who's that coming from? Cuckoo, speeding up Raven's attack even more. And I think this is one of the forgotten items that's really going to be quite potent in this current patch, that Soul Crest. Cuckoo already knows about it, does buy it outright. Carl will be forced to TP down bot because we did have a push coming in from the Nature's Prophet, so Adroit, they do at least split push a little bit and force them back. And it's just a game about buying time for Adroit. That's all they need more time. Though maybe they won't have it. Boomy, he does get spotted right now. Sprout's gonna block the way for the Troll Warlord. Geek Fam will not be able to find that pick often. It's back to the drawing board, start pushing down bot again. Raven's almost got the 14 KB up, right? I think you just wait for it. There it is.
It's there. It's just gonna be flying out. And at that point, the Troll really has nothing to be worried about. Right? Like, he can go in, he can man-fight that PA as needed, has a BKB. If the PA does pop her BKB, you've got Roar, so you can actually expend it on the PA instead. A lot of tools still on Geek Fam's side. They're just biding their time. Adroit is always going to be 9k behind. They just don't have the space on the map to close that gap. You do see Bok every now and again trying to make something happen. TPing out, shoving out the lane, coming back in for the defense. Does have the Heaven's Halberd, so that could cause issues for Geek Fam if they're not careful.
I think especially once he's at the point where he can actually get aside to buy stuff, that's when things get pretty scary for Geek Fam, but it's such an expensive item, it's going to be a very, very long time. But he can keep doing this, he can keep pushing out top, making Geek Fam rotate one bot. And Carl will always essentially have to be here for another 40 seconds until his TP is available again. Adroit, they do have those outscaling heroes on their draft. Like, they can definitely scale way better in the late game. And that late game is borderline here now, but maybe just another 10 minutes for them to get as much gold as they need up. And they can actually push this back quite nicely.
Yeah, I'm surprised with a caution that Geek Fam's showing. Like, so much respect for Adroit's power, but they've had this lead for a very long time, and they just feel like it's not enough. Even though, again, they've had ways to deal with the PA, they've had ways to deal with the Ember. They're just not comfy with going and actually playing all in, and they might force a fight right when the Aegis expires, which is never good.
Raven, burning. Soul Crest, put on him again. He does get impaled up by Boomy. Raven, Spike Carapace, not going to affect him, but maybe it does. They're all going to be there. They will get Boomy. That's nice. Keeps hitting away, but no, they're not afraid. They're still kind of walking back. You do have that 10-second charge on the BKB. But Geek Fam are going to take this very, very slowly, and it's not very helpful when you have a repair kit on the time of Adroit. They do get the tier 3, but the Aegis expires, and that's it. They need to get the hell out of there. And Adroit, they buy back on Boomy. This could be a big team fight, but they need to really all be there. Zeph will be the first target, but he will decrepify. Raven now turns around. Boomy does not get thrown off, as they do have a gem. And that'll be a dieback on Boomy, and now they look for more. It looks like CML has been controlled by the Centaur of Cuckoo. Great micro from this Beastmaster just within the team fight itself. They'll buy back on the Phoenix now. Backdoor protection, not going to help when it's a Lina and a Troll. They silence up the Troll. He doesn't really care. He doesn't really have much spells to spam anyway. Carl, do you want to go for a secondary Rax? They won't. Well, Raven says I want to. Charles, onto Carl, moves. Gonna push that off now. Needs to back off, but Primal Roar again comes out from Cuckoo with the follow-up stun. No follow-up Cuckoo. Natsumi now, he'll clear up Cuckoo. Wyman's also down. Zeph up, decrepified, but Sunray coming from CML. That's only amplifying the damage. Now battle transfer from Raven's Natsumi. He'll chase after Carl, and Carl's been silenced up. He should be able to clean this up, but he does use him up, trying to run away, but they sprout him. Meanwhile, Raven in the back getting Mac and finding CML, but they will lose the mid laner. Bot will TP out, and it looks like both position ones will remain alive. But that was a very successful team fight for Adroit. It was a 2-for-4 trade.
Just a lot of space given to Natsumi. Natsumi just walks around them with the blur perfectly around where the tier 2 used to be in that jungle area. Immediately jumps the Oracle. That's the primary target that they had to take care of. And without Whitemon, there's just no sustain.
Heaven's Harbor, Bok, do you have a TP? He's using it. Oh, but he gets him snared. He was so close. He was half a second away, and the first hidden snares him. Sometimes all the luck is on the other person's side. Carl will tip it. Thank you, Ice Rock.
It just doesn't go your way sometimes. Still, Adroit gonna be pretty happy with that trade. Natsumi gets a lot and finally does use that first BKB charge. You suddenly have a Basher in this PA, and that's when things start to tip over, right? You have the long range Stifling Dagger bash that can potentially happen. And there's really no counterplay for that, right? Like, it's either... No, if it happens, it happens, and then suddenly everything falls apart. That is what Adroit should be depending on next. Once you have the Abyssal, of course, that's going to be a lot more consistent for RPA, but that's still a fair bit of farm for Natsumi to try to work into. It does feel like Geek fam is going to be thinking twice about any sort of push. There are racks ahead. They're just playing cautiously.
Way too cautiously. You gotta say Tanic up now on Raven. He's 6 slot. You could get rid of the treads, I guess. But it's 37 minutes in. They had such a lead, a 10k lead, and they had all the tools available to them. Adroit are kind of back into it now. Like, yeah, they're still behind the net worth, but they have the tools of the comeback, and this Roshan fight could really decide what happens. As it is going to go down quite fast, but Boom is going to run in with his team, smoked up. He does scout it out. Cuckoo knows. Spy Campus, Intel, both misses, but they get the chains off, and now they look at well Cuckoo. Primal Roar does come out in time, and it is on to Matt. Can they get him down? Battle Trash is there. The Slaughter Fish is not enough, but the egg will drop. CML trying to get the Sunray out now as Bok also dies. The buyback's immediate from Adroit. They cannot afford to allow the Roshan to drop to the side of Geek Fam. So Boomy, he jumps in again. Carl is getting the Roshan job done himself. As Raven jumps back in. Bok, Sprouting Vision. As they jump in, they go up Boomy. What's he got? The ace is already gone. He picks up nothing. He needs to get out of there. In fact, no, he'll go for a fight. He does find Cuckoo. Can they get Raven, however? Raven tops the BKB. Matt's been stunned up. He'll go down. That's a dieback on the Ember Spirit. And Adroit just seemingly too desperate, jumping in but not having the whole real team coordination to make the ages still happen. Boomy also going to go down. That's a dieback on Mac and Boomy. MKB now up on Carl, make matters worse, and this game should theoretically be over. Should. You still do have some potential if Natsumi can get some amazing crits off. Bok will try sprouting the racks, and that also works. But they're going to go for T4. Defense, they've had enough of this game. They know they cannot drag this out any longer. And with no buybacks, Adroit, you've got to jump in and fight. Sunray will be there on Raven. Not enough. Lifetrain will just keep raising up as Bok now silences Heaven's Harbor to try and save him, but Raven just keeps moving forward. Bok is running towards the fountain. Nothing meanwhile jumps in, but Primal Roy is there, and wow, Raven hits hard. He hits really hard right now as they bounce in. The GG's been called. Geek fans do pull off the game 1 victory.
Yeah, it took them a while. They did have a solid lead for a very long time. It looked like they were giving it a little bits of space back, but they do manage to clean up at the 40-minute mark quite decisively, although very patiently as well. A lot of respect towards Adroit's potential there, and